story time. This week's episode of Canadian Kid Down Under, I'm going to be telling you why I left Canada, how I got my visa to go to Australia, and my experiences in London. The reason why I left Canada is I just wasn't happy. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, and I was sick of living the way that I did. I wanted to see and do things before I got older and had children, and I took advantage of the time that I had, so I up and moved. I sacrificed a lot of good things. I had an amazing job. I had a lot of stuff. I sold a bunch of it. What I did have left, I put into storage. I was down to a couple duffel bags, my camera gear, and a bicycle. What was really sobering, I guess, was just looking at what I did have to live out of, and I realized that that's all I was going to need. All the fancy things I had in the world, you don't need it. It's just accessories and things that you think are going to make you happy, but what I had in a couple duffel bags was what I was going to need to survive and just live a happy life. Now, if you're planning on bringing your bicycle, I advise not to. I'm glad that I have it here. When I went to Rome, that was something I always wanted to do, was to be able to bike around Rome. And, I'm glad I have it now, but it was definitely a royal pain traveling with it, booking it in, and making sure that it actually got on the flights. How I got my visa to come to Australia was I went to a website called swap.ca. From there, you're just going to fill out some basic information such as your passport, whether or not you have a criminal record, and proof of finances. Now, if you have a return flight, you're only going to need proof of $5,000 savings. If you don't, then you're going to need proof of $7,000. Overall, the process is pretty easy due to the fact that I was in the military. I had to give a lot of extra information about, whether or not I was a terrorist and if I was still serving. But typically, it should only take you about a month or two to receive your visa. So the day had come to leave Canada, and I was excited and I was really nervous. I made a big dramatic move in my life to just change everything, and you're questioning whether or not it was the right move. I got to the airport, checked all my stuff in, and hit the bar. Something you kind of don't want to do, but I suggest you do, is just get drunk. Go to the bar, get yourself drunk. It'll definitely help you sleep on the plane. Now, you gotta watch how much you take in, because if you're overly wasted, they definitely won't let you on the plane. Once I arrived in London, I had booked back in Canada to stay at a hostel called Notting Hill. I never stayed in a hostel before, so I was a little bit nervous for what I was getting myself into. Notting Hill, though, I'll give it 2 thumbs up. It was definitely a great experience. It was a family environment. They had a bit of a kitchen where you could do your cooking if you wanted. They served the backpackers dinner every night and organized events for you to get together and just meet people. Traveling around London on the metro, I guess they call it, so the subway back in Canada, not that easy. It's a little difficult to get yourself around. You can definitely do it. Just if you get lost, you ask people and they'll direct you, but it was a little challenging to just go and do a little bit of sightseeing. Now, if you're planning on doing some sightseeing in London, you got to watch, I guess, with the peak seasons and all that. When I went, a lot of things were under construction, so I didn't get to see it. Something like Big Ben was a bucket list item for me, and unfortunately it was under a bunch of scaffolding and repairs, so that was a little bit of a downfall there, and I'll have to return one day to check it out. London itself, though, isn't on the top of my list for places to travel again. I'm glad I went, and I'm glad I've seen everything. It's definitely got a lot of, things you want to check out, but it just reminds me of an old city that severely needs to be pressure washed. It's got some tourist attractions, and that's about it. I only had a couple days in London, so if you're going there and it's something that you want to see in your lifetime, then I definitely suggest doing it for more than 2 or 3 days like I did. Go for, a week. It does have a lot to see and a lot to offer. The food itself is really good. Definitely check out some of the pubs and enjoy yourself. They have these things called triple dip chips, and the fish is really good as well. I guess something to be expected in London. The beer was actually something that I really enjoyed as well. I can't tell you how many different kinds that I tried, but a lot of places that I do travel to, I don't really enjoy the beer, but that was definitely something that was a 2 thumbs up as well. I think the best memory that I have in London is just being at the hostel. It was a great experience. Every night we went out to different bars and partied and had a great time. Be open to new things, though. The one night they took us to this bar called Heaven, and Heaven was a gay bar. Now, for someone who considers themselves super straight, I was definitely a little bit leery of what I was getting myself into, but I mean, I wanted to hang out with people and have a good time, so I went with it. Heaven itself was one of the best parties I've ever been to. Having a great group of friends definitely helped things out. But I mean, it wasn't really a weird situation to be in. Out of all the places I traveled to on my way to Australia, that was definitely the biggest party that I had, was going to London and just going to all the different bars itself, different nightclubs, and just different pubs. We'll touch on money yet again. The Canadian to the pound is extremely expensive. Now, once you do have the pound, things are pretty cheap when you're there. I was able to buy about 2 bags worth of groceries for about 20 pounds. My money went really far. But I mean, the changeover from the Canadian to the pound was mind-blowing. It definitely hurt the pocket, and I guess that's another reason why London's not on the top of my list of places to go see again. In reference back to the bike, that was something that was lost on the flight to London, so that was a little bit of a pain trying to organize things to get it back to the hostel. They lost all my clothes as well. I mean, it is what it is. It happens, I guess. So all I really had was what was on my back and my camera gear, so I made do with the situation I was in and just had a good time. If you want to go to London, it's not something that I'll tell you not to go to. It was definitely, I had good times and great experiences. I've done a fair amount of traveling, so it's just in reference to everywhere else that I've been, it wasn't my favorite place to go. But if you get a chance and you're around, definitely go and see it. So there you go. I hope this video helped you out on trying to figure out how to get your visa to come to Australia, the things you do and don't want to bring, and just my experiences in London. If you enjoy what you've seen, like, subscribe, and share. You can also follow me on Instagram. New video comes out every week, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Take care.